Raymond is being driven by Ginny's mother to the cordoned-off military launch site. The woman begs her son to refuse a voluntary challenge, but he is adamant. After saying goodbye, he goes out the gate, where the rest of the participants gathered. There he meets Pete, McWhirst, and other guys. Art Baker wants to make friends during the event, so to speak, friends, for the rest of his life. Henry Olsen is filled with optimism and convinces himself that he is ready to tear everyone up. Hippie Harry Barkovich tries to make conversation with an awkward joke, but causes only a sharp attack of Spanish shame. Also standing out among the participants is Stebbins, a tall blonde man with an athlete's figure. The chatter is interrupted by the appearance of a jeep with a built-in major, the head of a long walk in particular, and the entire current social system as a whole. First of all, the major calls the participants by name. Each is assigned an individual number. Having finished with the inventory of teenagers, the boss reads an inspiring speech that their death will not be in vain. After watching the death of 49 people live on the air, the nation will rejoice for the winner and begin to work hard for the benefit of the economy. Soldiers are handing out wrist timers to young people. They monitor the speed of movement. If it falls below 5 kilometers per hour, the pedestrian will receive a warning, after which 10 seconds are given to accelerate. The fourth warning is automatically converted into a bullet in the head. An hour of driving at the right speed removes one warning. When the rousing speech ends, the long walk begins. Young people are boldly stepping into a bright future. One of them leaves an origami on the asphalt as a farewell. Together with the participants, several cars are moving with cameras for broadcasting and with soldiers for everything else. The young men measure out the first kilometers of a long journey with uneven steps and without any organization. In the process, they enjoy the surrounding scenery. Those are not only beautiful, but also disgusting, the types of dead animals on the roadside and rural landscapes of rotten metal. Raymond notices that there are not enough live viewers along the route to avoid any misunderstandings. When they march past a hippie policeman, Harry shows him an indecent gesture, shows a rebellious spirit directed against the system. Shortly after, he stops to take off his shoe. Shaking out the stone that got there, Harry receives 3 warnings in bulk. The others even turned around on the move to see if they would shoot him. However, the hippie managed to tie his shoelaces and gain speed. Raymond, Pete, Art, and Henry argue that'll do with the prize if you win. Pete decides to smoke, although Henry reminds him to take care of the blowhole. Harkness joins the conversation, a walker with a notebook, dreaming of writing a book about a long walk. While whiling away the time during the conversation, the guys see how one participant begins to convulse. Raymond helps him walk, and Pete gives him tips on how to relax his muscles. However, the guy falls a few meters away from the pain on the asphalt. He was shot first, right in front of the others. Shocked by what he saw, Raymond automatically slows down, receiving the first warning. Pete pulls him further. Participants continue to stomp under the scorching sun in the distance. Pete turns around to relieve himself, for which he walks backwards. Passing by a small town, they see a girl with a poster on the side of the road, a fan of Raymond, morally supporting him. Pete invites fellow travelers to make friends and call themselves musketeers. It is necessary to brighten up the competition with something. In addition to him and Raymond, the squad includes Henry and Art. The first number begins an epileptic fit, and he falls to the ground. Harry jokes by jumping over him, which causes the dislike of the musketeers. When the required amount of time passes, the soldiers shot the first one. The path passes along a water dam, then again through rural expanses, firm where a few locals and a lazy cat watch the pedestrians. When Henry's muscles cramp, the musketeers, after consulting the speedometer on his arm, reduce the speed to the minimum allowed to give him a rest. Hippie makes fun of professionals named Rank, mocking his name and mother. Losing his temper, Rank tries to hit Harry, but he constantly dodges. As a result, the Rank falls, hitting the asphalt. He doesn't have time to get up when the soldiers kill him. Art blames Harry for the guy's death, calling him a murderer. The hippie denies the accusation, but the other participants also consider him guilty. As if emphasizing the symbolism of what happened, the guys pass by the cemetery. Soon one of the participants had an attack of diarrhea. Taking off his pants, he tries to relieve himself right on the move, giving himself acceleration with reactive fecal thrust, and exudes a nauseating miasma around. But there is not enough speed, and the guy catches a lead pill with his head. When it starts to get dark, the major encourages the rest with another speech. Walking at night is not so easy. A tired brain requires rest. Pete mentally and physically supports Raymond, but the situation worsens when the participants come to a section of highway with a steep climb. Walking uphill at the right speed is much more difficult than walking on flat terrain. Gunshots ring out in the night. Those who failed fall dead. The rest will mobilize all their forces to overcome a dangerous stretch of the road. When Raymond gets the third warning, he quarrels with Pete on nerves, accusing him of needing his death to win. When the strength leaves the guy, a soldier walks next to him with a machine gun at the ready. Hippie Harry goads Raymond, saying that he will die soon. However, Pete, who appeared next to him, drags his friend with him, allowing him to keep the right pace. Soon they see a hilltop ahead. Realizing that the difficult segment is almost past, Raymond apologizes to his friend for what he said in a hurry. In the morning at dawn, it turns out that during the first night, the group lost 14 people. They could not overcome the mountain. This increases the chances for the remaining ones. Pete admits to Raymond that he does not believe in his victory, but he is not going to twist his ankle and can't go any further. The soldiers kill him right in front of the young spectators, whom Hart tries to drive away, but to no avail. People demand free shows. The major congratulates the participants on overcoming the milestone, but there is still a lot of interesting things ahead. Not everyone is dead yet. Taking advantage of the opportunity, one pedestrian tries to escape, but the bullet turns out to be faster, and he falls dead. Harry gloats over the death of another competitor. The musketeers discuss the main prize, what they will ask for as a wish. Art wants to go to the moon. Henry dreams of 10 naked women, and Pete wants to make a wish that there are not one, but 2 winners in the walk. So the friendship tied here will last longer. Raymond praises his friend for this decision, but he refuses to say what he wants. He hints that he would like to change something, although according to the rules it is impossible to make changes in the political system. Succumbing to Pete's rebellious moods, the participants begin to chant down with the walk, down with the major. But they do not forget to move their feet at the same time. A rally is a rally, but no one wants to catch a bullet. So comes the second night and the rain. Raymond and Pete pull each other, supporting each other, which allows them to take turns napping on the go. Cheer up! Raymond and Pete exchange a baseball sword. They pass by a friend who has sat down to relieve himself in the allotted 30 seconds. At the last moment, Art pulls on his pants and catching up with friends. They ask him to move away, he stinks, because there was no time to wipe himself. Left alone with Raymond, as much as possible, Pete asks to tell him what he will ask for as a prize. In secret, a friend confesses that his father was a kind of dissident, distributing works of art of the past, banned under the current political system. He introduced his son to literature and music, after which soldiers broke into their house. The major arrived personally to convince him to renounce his beliefs in front of his family, and when he refused, he killed the man. Now Raymond dreams of getting a rifle in the final to shoot the major in revenge. Pete doesn't share his friend's ideas. He says that if you win with the available money, you can do something more real and useful. Take care of orphans left after the Civil War or their own mother. Tries to climb onto the escort tank. When a soldier throws him off, the guy's legs are flattened by caterpillars. He screams in pain, but they are in no hurry to finish him off until the time prescribed by the rules has passed. And 3 warnings have been typed. After that, another walker's roof breaks off. Undressing, he runs forward, but when he tries to turn to the side of the road, he falls under a hail of bullets. The rest go on. So comes the third night. At the suggestion of Stebbins, Raymond notices that Henry has almost lost consciousness and is wandering like a zombie on the moral volitional. He tries to support his friend, but achieves the opposite result. Henry turns around and walks back. Grabbing a soldier by the machine gun, he gets a burst in the stomach. Henry is dripping blood on the asphalt. Nervous breakdown, Harry rushes forward to pierce his throat with a sharpened spoon in front of the others. In the gathering dusk, the 5 remaining pass by the burning car. To keep up the spirit, they sing a song. Ginny stands on a city street in which they pass. Raymond runs to her to apologize for her stubbornness and voluntary participation. Pete barely manages to pull him away and lead him on before he is shot. Outside the city, Kalia suddenly breaks forward. He snatches a submachine gun from a gawking soldier and kills him before he is wounded. But the guards do not have time to finish off the guy. At the last moment, he blows his own brains out. On the 5th evening, Art's nose starts to bleed. Removing the cross from his neck, Art asks his friends to give it to his grandmother, after which he breaks out and goes back waiting for death. At night, the major personally addresses the remaining trio. Raymond is rude, calling him an old scumbag, but he likes such enthusiasm. Pete suggests slowing down at the same time so that it is impossible to determine the winner. But Stebbins argues that it is impossible. Devices do not deceive. He also admits that he is one of the illegitimate sons of the Major himself. With his desire, he wants his father to recognize him. But now he understands that this is not destined to come true. Stebbins stops, letting his friends go ahead, and waiting for death. In the night rain, Pete and Raymond arrive in another city. Its streets are full of onlookers. Everyone suspects that the denouement will happen here. Walking in a human corridor, Pete looks at his friend, then stops and sits down on the road so that he sees his mother again. Noticing this, Raymond returns and asks to walk with him a little more. They walk on, but Raymond silently lags behind to give a win to a friend who dreams not of a place, but of something bright, better. The soldier shoots at him, but only wounds him so that the Major personally finishes off the last loser. The winner mourns a dead friend, while the audience cheers and fireworks explode in the sky in his honor. When the Major comes up to congratulate, Pete asks for a rifle of a soldier standing next to him as a reward. The Major orders to give up the weapon without fear of anything. It is unlikely that the winner will risk his wealth so stupidly. Pete, lost in thought in the rain, pulls the trigger. The Major falls dead, and the winner of a long walk, who has lost everything, turns around and walks away down the night street lit by the lights of lanterns straight to nowhere.